Okay, so today we are going to study annual diversity goals. Establish annual supplier diversity goals in alignment with supply management and business goals. So goal setting, goals must be set for the supplier diversity plan. Otherwise, you'll never know how you're doing. SMART goals, and SMART stands for specific, measurable, attainable, results-oriented, and time-bound. Effective goals, to be effective, goals must be measurable and should be aligned vertically and horizontally with key corporate objectives, individual performance objectives, business unit objectives, and functional unit objectives. Functional being department like purchasing or materials. Tied to incentive compensation. So if you want to really make sure goals happen, time to incentive compensation. Performance-based incentives. Goal setting for diverse suppliers. So goals should be based on projections of forecasts developed by the organization's diversity professionals. Include diverse supplier goals in executive performance plans, and performance reviews of managers involved in buying activities should also include supplier diversity program goals. Best practices. Spend, one of the most utilized metrics within the supplier diversity program is how much spend is with diverse suppliers. Goals are generally aligned as a percentage of overall supplier spend. Actual dollars and percentage of total dollars are typically the unit of measurement. And organizations can track year-over-year trend and compare against industry benchmarks. Outreach is another area where progress and results should be measured. How many suppliers are being engaged and then move forward. Help supplier diversity determine the ROI of events being attended or hosted. And then sales revenue. A company should establish goals regarding sales revenue, and we all do. Diverse supplier programs can foster a stronger sentiment and drive an increase in revenue. That's what you want to measure for the supplier diversity program. Does it help your revenue, sales revenue? Bid opportunities. Companies can establish metrics that define how many bids are comprised of diverse suppliers or how many bids have diverse suppliers on them. Develop category profiles is critical to the supplier diversity program. It enables organization to understand what the current diverse supplier spend levels are and helps in setting future targets. Customer and government regulations. It's important to understand requirements from the end customer or government agency the firm is contracting with. While their goals may be like the organization's goals, it's also possible their goals may be more stringent. So government obviously has a lot of goals for diverse suppliers, although nowadays, President Trump back in office, probably fewer, but they still have some. But private industry, if you're in a consumer products company, this diverse supplier base metrics are very important because those customers, if they don't like the way the company's doing things, or if they think the company discriminates against people, then they will not buy their products. So diverse supplier goals should be flowed down to first-tier suppliers. A second-tier supplier diversity program is an important program extension. So what you want to do is you want to measure your tier one suppliers, or prime suppliers, as the government calls them. And then you want those suppliers to measure their tier one suppliers, which would be your tier two suppliers. But you want to inspect their programs and make sure that they're doing it. Supply management professionals should set clear objectives with diverse suppliers in an actionable custom supplier development plan. Set goals by business unit. Organizations with multiple business units must work with each unit to set diverse supplier goals. And business units should have a mandate to include diverse suppliers as part of their sourcing strategy. Business units, diverse supplier goal setting, allocate a percentage of spend, they have to meet a minimum spend. Allocate categories to subcategories, partner with first-tier suppliers who also value diverse suppliers. The supplier diversity program's goals and objectives should be tied to supply management strategy and make a part of the supplier management professional's job function. Forecast. The purpose of a forecast is to develop a supply forecast as far as supply management is concerned. Many companies have expanded the business process of sales and operations planning or demand forecasting to include a section on supplier diversity forecasting, which I don't really know what that looks like, but okay. Some of the areas that affect supply forecast: quantity, industry capacity, cost, technology, planning, ensuring supply. So sales quantity needs to be predicted for new and existing products. Price availability and cyclical or seasonal demand must also be considered. Industry capacity. Organization must determine if there will be enough capacity in the supply chain to meet demand. To create a supply capacity forecast, an organization evaluates the supply market in terms of overlapping product lines, market coverage, and the expected effect on the marketplace. And then cost. Price forecasting is usually used for commodities such as crude oil, metal, true commodities, raw materials. These forecasts become more important when the markets are changing rapidly. So here they're trying to guess at what the cost of the oil or the metals will be in the near future. Technology. Organizations need to forecast technology trends that can impact demand. Technological advances can cut product life cycle times, and senior executives must be aware of any technology gaps. Planning require a comprehensive analysis of key categories. Historical review of purchases, analysis of competitive environment, and forecast of supply, demand, and prices. Ensuring supply management must ensure that supply can meet demand. Forecasting supply conditions in critical markets is important to the ability to continuously ensure supply. So you're looking at capacity here. Business plans. In order to make use of projections, business plans must be implemented successfully. Metrics. What gets measured gets done. So externally driven metrics, often driven by various laws and regulations. Final customers in consumer industries may also want reporting on the use of diverse suppliers. Internal driven metrics, those that track the spend with diverse suppliers where the data is used for internal management reporting, usually involve measurement to pre-existing organizational goals and creation of measurements. Supply management professional has to create, report, archive, evaluate, and revise the organizational metrics that will achieve the corporate objectives for the supplier diversity program. So it all starts with what are the corporate objectives for the supplier diversity program. Management needs to put into place a system that ensures the processes are controlled and in compliance. Audit processes. Systematic process for global auditing should be established. Most large companies have this. Establish a system of regularly scheduled peer audits. Peer audits are followed up by audits performed by internal audit groups, and many of these audits are announced with very little time to prepare. So you've got peer audits, and you've got internal audits with the internal audit group. And audits are usually used to identify strengths and weaknesses within the group. And they're also conducted by outside organizations to ensure the necessary objectivity. So this would be the ISO audit. Validation processes implies that a solution process or expenditure is correct or compliant with the set standards. That's what validation is. Is the process correct or compliant with set standards? Usually relates to meeting the need of an external or internal customer. Reporting requirements. Organizations must establish a management reporting system that will ensure measurement and processes are tracked for compliance and accuracy. This came from SOX. And the reason SOX came about was our buddies at Enron were just basically lying about their financials. And their defense from their senior executives was, we didn't know. So remediation, if deficiencies are found through established units, then a process improvement plan should be established to correct the defect. That's remediation. Training uses an evolutionary model that is constantly changing and moving forward. Train on policies and procedures. You can also train suppliers on your policies and procedures. Establish a system of continuous improvement for the personnel. Use the following to assist. You can have individual web-based education they can do on their own time, face-to-face classes, and lessons learned discussions. Compliance metrics. Metrics should be quantifiable in order to measure progress. To achieve compliance, a defined plan is used, which includes executive sponsorship and teams. Organizational policies. Policy is a guide for decision making. So the hierarchy goes policies, procedures, work instructions, or desk operating instructions. Policies are dynamic. They need to be periodically reviewed and updated. They're set by the top level of the corporation or organization. Organizational policies are established to guide behavior in the organization. Regulatory policies or mandates limit the discretion of the individual. These are government policies. Many organizations establish policies about purchasing from a diverse supplier base, giving numbers of dollars in spend or numbers of suppliers, etc. Diverse supplier programs need visible metrics on actual to goal. Determine what categories and levels of diverse supplier participation your organization is attend. It's the only way you're going to know if you're on track. You've got your goal, what's your actual? Accountability, critical to ensuring that supply chain professionals deliver on their commitment to the supplier diversity program. Show that diverse suppliers effectively provide the best value in highly competitive environments. And the two perspectives identifies and uses diverse suppliers, and look externally to gauge how well existing diverse suppliers are performing in comparison to their non-diverse brethren. Management's role. Senior management should analyze quarterly diverse supplier results across all business units, looking for continuous improvement. Usually spend with diverse suppliers is compared to total spend for business unit. And you can also develop scorecards, which is a document that records the ratings from performance evaluations or your performance metrics. It should contain both quantitative and qualitative metrics with what the goals are and what the actual performance was. Addressing underperforming suppliers. So questions to ask when performance is marginal or unsatisfactory. In which areas can the organization improve its performance? What categories should be incorporated in order to recover performance? Is there a bottleneck? What can be done to alleviate it? Which areas make the most significant difference and require immediate focus? And what's next? Answers to these questions help the supplier get back on track. Here's what a balanced scorecard could look like, available from these guys. Building diversity into bid and contracting process. So successful solicitation and contracting practices require thorough understanding of the business strategy, resources needed to deliver that strategy, market forces, unique risks, and business processes for RFX solicitations or bids. And post-negotiation contracting processes should be modified to include supplier diversity best practices. All right. You must align diversity goals both vertically and horizontally in relation to the company's key objectives. Which of the following areas would not be a target for a diversity goal setting or for diversity goals? Goal setting by function, goal setting by purchase category, goal setting by business unit, goal setting for individual diverse suppliers. Oh, I think this is a trick question. This doesn't make a lot of sense. and you're looking for a not. So I would say it's probably D. A. Goal setting by functional department. Goal setting by functional department would not make a lot of sense for a diversity program. Measuring the percentages spent on diverse suppliers by the accounting group will not tell you if you are making progress on your goals. And I guess I just don't understand what goal D is. All right. Second one. The most important reason to continually track prices for commodities related to your supplier's cost is which of the following? You'll be able to spot opportunities to approach suppliers for price reduction. Most important reason to continually track prices for commodities. You'll know if a supplier's request for a price increase is justified. Suppliers will cease asking for unjustified increases once they know you're watching. Not true. And suppliers will have to accept your pricing model. Also not true. So you can throw out C and D. What's the better of A and B? You'll be able to spot opportunities to approach suppliers for price reduction. Yeah. You will know if the supplier's request for price increase is justified. I'm tempted to go with A. Let's see what these guys want to do. A it is. All right. There are, well, we got to cover the summary. Establish spend goals for the supplier diversity program, including subcontracting plans. Develop tools and processes that can properly measure, report, and improve compliance to the goals. Two perspectives concerning supplier diversity accountability are looking internally at how well the organization identifies and uses diverse suppliers, and looking externally to gauge how well existing diverse suppliers are performing in comparison to non-diverse suppliers. All right. There are some questions out there. Let's go out and pick them up. B3. Goes. So we've got 8, 12, 19 questions. Go ahead and start on them. All right, let's go over some answers. Number 1 is alpha. 2 is Delta. 3 is Charlie. 4 is Delta. 5 is Bravo. 6 is Alpha. 7 is Charlie. 8 is also Charlie. 9 is Delta. 10 is Bravo. 11 is Charlie. And there's 12. Oh, there it is at the bottom. I better put that there. 12 is Charlie. 13 is Alpha. And 14 is Delta. 15 is Alpha. 16 is also Alpha. 17 is Delta. 18 is Bravo. And 19 is Delta. And there you have it. Work on B4 tomorrow.